Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to start with a meditation. Finding our meditation posture. The posture does a lot to help us stay in connection with the earth and keep our body vital, alive, so that the energy is free to flow. So we can take our seat. Making real contact with the ground. Letting the flow of gravity release down into the earth. allowing everything to settle, like a pool of water when it's not stirred, the clear surface of a still lake. Releasing into the sensations of touch in the body, sensations of contact with the floor, the feeling of our clothes on our skin, releasing right into those feelings, those sensations. Feeling them from within. Opening more and more to the simple play of sensation. In and out of awareness. 1 minute with the sensations of breathing. And drawn to some tension in the body. Or the breeze on the skin. Tiny muscle movements in the back. Flickering of the eye. Releasing into the flow of all the sensations. Really feeling into them. What's it like? This sensation, this cloud of sensations, dancing in the experience of our body right now. No need to hold ourselves apart from this flow of sensation. As long as we're not straining or grasping, pushing or pulling. Everything's the play of sensation. Resting easy with the play of sensation. Including any sounds or other senses, sensations of light patterns on the eyes, tastes in the mouth, smells. If you want, you can gently open the eyes, keeping them very relaxed and easy. The play of light, color, movement, keeping easy and relaxed. No need to be pulled in to the story of this experience of sight, of light, of colour. Let it come to you. All part of the play of sensation, of sense experience right now. Alive in all the sense experience. The flow of life. Including also any emotional flavour or tone. Any feelings. Maybe associated with the heart centre or different areas in the body. Any memories that surface or words. All part of the flow of experience right now. Can be very sharp, distinct, compelling. Possibly energetically charged. Staying present, alive, easy, relaxed, open. Not getting caught in the stories. It's all the creative expression of mind, of awareness, seeking to be happy, to be free. the dance, the play of experience, always changing. An expression of being alive right now. And releasing, opening fully, letting go, nothing to do. As we sit here together in our shared heart space, in the stillness of the morning. Okay. So I hope you've all had a little taste, at least, that if we put the right conditions in place, the mind will naturally still and open, yeah? And that's, well, that's an incredibly valuable experience. Even if we aren't interested particularly in samatha or stilling for its own sake, yeah? Maybe we're more interested in knowing how the mind works and how to really understand the mechanisms that we recreate suffering with. But even if that's the case, yeah, to build a cathedral, we still have to build the wall, yeah. So part of that whole process, yeah, is well, for many people, actually, it is part of the whole process for everybody. For many people, the progression is we create a certain amount of conditions that help to still the mind, yeah, and that gives a taste of what a sort of a flexible, creative mind can be like. And then we can use that and apply it to looking at, well, things that all experience share in common, which is when we start to enter wisdom territory. For some people, it works the other way around. Actually, some of us have a very, very active questioning mind, and in order to still the mind, we need to address some of those questions. Otherwise, the mind, isn't going to still. So you can go in whichever way you want. But we end up in the same place, which is if you like, a marriage between Samatha and Vipassana. So you have a very open, available, clear, flexible mind, which is looking clearly at the nature of experience. Is that all right so far? Any questions? I think you're unmuted today, so. Or at least you can unmute yourselves, put it that way.
Can I ask, as somebody who does have a very questioning mind?
Okay, well,
you said that for people with a very questioning mind, they may need to answer some of those questions before the mind can still. But my concern with that is my mind can generate endless questions. So I wonder how that works.
Yes, I can't see you, so I think my computer must have frozen or something, and the sound is not very loud. I don't know if I share that with others, but you were saying that you generate endless questions, that you're concerned that you generate endless questions. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, if I may, because this isn't, in fact, the territory I wanted to get into this morning, so I will come back to that, but I'll come back to it tomorrow, if I may, if that's all right.
Hello, I had a question, if I may ask, about grasping at experiences. It's Sarah.
Okay. I'm just going to have to ask you, for some reason I can't, my sound, I've lost everybody's image and my sound has gone very low. Are other people experiencing that as well, or is it just me?
Yes, on sound.
It's a bit low sound.
Yeah, some people are a bit quiet.
Sound is very low.
Your sound is fine. It's just those two questions.
The sound is generally, yeah. Okay, it must be something to do with the internet. Yes, maybe if could you write your question in the chat, that might help. I don't even have an image of people at the moment. I've got no images, so if you can hear me.
I could just try and speak again, if that's any better.
Yes. Say your name, because I can't see you, and say your question as loud as you can.
Yeah, so great. So my question was about the tendency of the mind to kind of grasp at open experiences of spaciousness, brightness, that I know from previous meditation, my conditions are not great at the moment, so I'm not able to be fully on retreat.
Yeah.
I know from previous experiences, actually not just on retreat, that the mind can become boundless and vast, and you know, these kind of beautiful experiences arise of kind of no sense of inside outside, and the mind kind of wants that back. So when there's a dropping into more stillness and spaciousness and luminosity, there's a kind, the memory of those experiences is kind of there, and the mind kind of wants to grasp at that or say, oh, I'm doing it. So it's ego just coming in. Yeah.
It's ego functioning. I want to be very specific about that. What is the ego? There is no such thing as an ego, is there? It's ego functioning, and that's very important, because what I want to stress is the dynamic nature of mind, or the flowing nature of mind. Yeah. So you've given a very clear example of that. You know, we have an opening experience, and the natural thing for the mind to do straight after that is to want more of it. Yeah. And that very wanting more of it is a closing down. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's not what's happening in the moment. It's a memory, you know, where we're wanting something that is a sort of memory from the past. Yeah. You can't actually get back something that's already gone. You know, you can only sort of recreate the conditions, if you like, to experience that in the present. Yeah. And those conditions are not one of closing down and grasping and wanting something that isn't there. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, how can I be fresh and open and non-separate and fluid with this moment of experience now, and this moment of experience now, and this moment of experience now. Yeah. I did some study on a text. It was an Avalokiteshvara text, and we were studying this, and I started to wonder, why are we studying this text? Because the practitioners in the text, they were all really, really experienced yogis. Yeah. So the advice was all, that the discussion was all between really experienced yogis, you know, who could fly through walls. Their minds were so free, you know, that all of this stuff. It was, and I thought, well, why are we studying this text? But after a while, it was like the question every time they would sort of present an experience, and the master would talk to them about that experience. The advice, the meditative instruction was always the same. It was, okay, if you cling to this experience, yeah, you can't access it. Yeah. So it's all right. So the advice was always, okay, we'll look for where you're limiting, you're clinging now, you know, and that's true of us with our, you know, with our raging bull minds, and it's true for the most subtle clinging. Yeah, the most subtle clinging that stops you from actually walking through that wall. Yeah. There's this lovely story about these sort of flying yogis who went to a sort of celebratory feast and got far too into, got really sort of into eating and drinking, and they lost their freedom. They sort of got really, really sort of, they got really sort of caught in all the eating and drinking and dancing, and they couldn't fly home. So there you go. I mean, okay, it's an image, isn't it? But it gives you the flavor of that is exactly what we need to be looking for, and we can find it in whatever state of mind, on or off the cushion. Yeah. Where are we closing down? Where are we expanding? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I can just feel a bit like I'm going backwards sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's what the mind does. because that's a very good way for the mind to sort of for the kleshas, if you like, for the sort of to sort of we'll find ways of getting through so that we don't break into that freedom. And a classic way is saying, oh, you know, it's all falling apart, it's all going wrong, it's going backwards. Yeah. So what do you do with that when it feels like your mind is going backwards?
I try to just keep softening into the body, softening into the tension in the body, and seeing more. It's just an object of mind again that there's aversion to, actually, and it's like just trying to just notice there's an object of mind and how I'm pushing it away and trying to grab at something and kind of just feel that subtly. Yeah. Sometimes it's quite gross, actually, not that subtle.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah. Right, good. Yes, and there's this sort of you can also, you know, be quite sort of there's a you can listen to the tone with which that voice is coming as well. So, you know, there can be the tone of, oh, this is all going backwards, and there can be a sort of despondency and a you know, and it's sort of like you can sort of listen to the energy of that tone. Yeah. And in a way that's what's trying, it's not so much, you know, the story of, oh, it's going backwards. It's like, oh, hang on, this is you know, there's sadness because I'm not in touch with something I was in touch with before. Yeah. And if we can stay to the simple in touch with the simple sadness and feel into the simple sadness, yeah, we don't get into the sort of, you know, it's like, oh yes, this is, you know, this is the story, is that I'm trying to get to something which I can't do because I'm not doing it right, or I'm not a good enough person, or whatever. Yeah. So listening into the energy of that as well. Yeah.
There's something too I find about just seeing the conditions, that actually we're conditioned beings. And right now, for me anyway, the conditions are not as favorable as they sometimes are. That is harder to like put aside distraction, to create more samatha, or to allow samatha to settle in. Describing, it's just harder.
Yeah. So we have to be realistic. Yeah. And I suppose well, particularly for you know, when we do get, it's like we can see something of it, you know, it's so easy to get black and white about things. You know, the point about samatha sometimes, and this is the territory for this morning, is that even if we do get settled in samatha, sometimes it can feel like we're going backwards, because, you know, suddenly we get this whole wodge of resistance or you know, anger or frustration, or just a sheet of tiredness coming down, or, you know, so even if, and sometimes it's even worse if you've got all the right conditions, because you can't blame it on the conditions, you know. But it's also I have to say, though, sometimes I've been in totally the inverted commas wrong conditions. I've been leading a very stressful life and all sorts of things happening, and suddenly, you know, my mind has just opened. So I think it's worth being open to that possibility too. You know, it's like there isn't, we don't know all of the causes and conditions there.
Sometimes it arise when you least expect them, actually.
Exactly.
You're not, so you're actually, there's a kind of openness, there's a sort of beginner's mind somehow more there.
Exactly, because that expectation is the same. It's another way of shutting down. You know, it ought to be like this. It ought not to be like that. You know, can you see the the story level of that. It's like we've got this template or idea, you know, that we have this experience and then that leads to that experience. And that, you know, fine, it's good to have a map and a model, but we need to hold that very, very lightly so that we can be open and alive to what, and curious. That was the other thing I was going to say. Well, okay, so curious about, well, what's this state of mind and what's, you know, what's happened here? Yeah. Yes.
Can I ask?
Is it all right if? Yep.
Oh, can I ask a question about the last ox herding picture that you showed yesterday?
Can we deal with that this afternoon, Pat?
Well, you can, yes.
Yep. It's just I want to move on with the material this morning, and the ox herding pictures will probably fit more into this afternoon, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So yes. This whole way of working is the sort of central premise of it. This is that the nature of our experience is dynamic, is fluid, is flowing. Yeah, awareness flows from one situation to another. Yeah, and there's an inherent creativity in that. Yeah. There's so much creativity that we normally take for granted. You know, the very fact that we're sort of seeing something that we interpret in a certain way, we can communicate with each other. There's so much aliveness and creativity and flow going on. We hear a new bit of information, we learn from that. Yeah. But also, you know, it's like the world is shifting around us all the time and changing, and we're making sense of that, you know, all the time. So there's sort of constant play of creativity going on all the time. So the last example that we had was a very good example. I mean, that, you know, you were talking about it in terms of generally you don't have the conditions, but even when we do have the conditions, in fact, especially when we do have the conditions, our minds can settle. Yeah. And sometimes it can feel like there's a sort of resistance, there's prapancha, which has a lot more sort of bite to it. Yeah. Yes, it's a bit like if you think of sort of experience or consciousness as a stream of water. Yeah. Sometimes we have these little eddies in the water that, you know, disrupt the water, but sometimes it can feel like there's sort of whole whirlpools of water in there. Yeah. What we do with that is that we fix it and we fix ourselves in relation to it. Yeah. So, and we've also seen this morning that we can do that in terms of experiences that we want, as well as experiences that we don't want. Yeah. But those, yeah, in a way, it's so easy to see. Well, there's two things that happens. We see them as, sometimes we don't even really want to take on board that they're part of our experience. Yeah, they're too painful, or they feel like they'd be too disruptive, or they'd overwhelm us. So we don't we don't want to get close to them. Yeah. But the trouble is that if we, keep going, yes, we can keep creating the conditions more or less successfully to bring about the settling of the mind, the samatha. But it's like there's a whole area of experience which is sort of over here that we're sort of, that we don't have access to all that energy that's locked up in there. Yeah. So we're only sort of really working with half of the available fluidity and energy, and ultimately at some point, we're going to get up, we're going to be in a difficult situation, and that will be triggered. Yeah. So for complete freedom, yeah, we can move into a sort of place where actually, if we work on keeping coming back to the way that we relate to things all the time, then the importance of what it is what it is that we're relating to lessens. Yeah. So if we keep attending to, oh yes, I got caught up in that, or there's a story of not being good enough here. Yeah. And we keep sort of attending to how we are with that. Yeah. Okay, well, what can I learn from this situation? What can I learn from this? Yeah. How can I be soft and loving and fluid and flexible in this moment now? Yeah. Then it doesn't matter so much what the content of that moment is, because even if it, if the difficult situation is, just keeping on replaying itself all the time and getting worse and worse and worse, we have that fluidity and flexibility in ourselves. Yeah. And we'll come on to this afternoon, but that's what enables us to stop even holding the ox on a long string, if you like, and actually just be able to ride the ox home playing the flute. Yeah. It's that sort of flexibility. But also it's very, very rewarding, I think, because, if we live in this life where, okay, I don't really, I don't really want this in my life, or no, I'm not that sort of person, or, there's a lot of energy in holding things out and at bay. And if we learn to listen to what that energy is trying to say, what that whirlpool, what that eddy is trying to sort of communicate to us, we can free all of that up, and we can learn a lot about, what's important to us, and we can learn a lot. We don't, and it brings us into connection. Yeah. We don't actually, we're not separate from it. Yeah. But we're creating this sense of separation, which is very, very painful. So if we don't have to hold it at bay, there's a real sort of fluidity and flexibility that can deepen in our experience. So yeah, I think it's really worth sort of engaging more deeply with these things. Also, I suppose it's sort of because it, you know, experience is fluid and dynamic. It's like these seemingly sort of really stuck, stubborn, intransigent sort of blocks in our experience. They, if we're relating to them like that, they just cause a lot of suffering, and they cause a lot of suffering for us, and they cause a lot of suffering for other people. So when there's confusion and fears and attachment and resistances operating, you know, this energy is blocked. But as that, if we bring a different state of mind, if you like, if the mind opens up and there isn't the clinging, there isn't the wanting, the straining mind, then it just becomes more and more, it just becomes energy freeing itself up. Yeah? And we can see it as a sort of expression or a wish to be happy or to have clarity. Yeah. So gradually, you know, we don't have to, it's sort of, a lot of the time it's an expression to be happy that's sort of gone wrong, you know, that's got caught up in the confusion, in the fear, and the self-protection, and it's gone wrong. But if we listen to if we listen to that sort of the underlying wish, we can liberate the destructive behavior. Any questions about that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see me, it's Sarah.
I can.
Oh, hooray. That's good. Does that all make sense to me sort of cognitively? But then I'm thinking about things that, like, practically what's happening in my meditation, and I can't quite make the link. So I'm thinking particularly about that last meditation, kind of noticing lots of sensations, there's stilling and relaxation, and then a lot of sort of, you know, that kind of thinking that happens when you're falling asleep, sort of associative, slightly random images and things just coming into my head. So quite like a sleepiness, but a sort of a strange dreamy. And I don't quite understand. Yeah. When you're saying like how to relate to that, I don't quite know what to do with it or how to be with it. Yeah. I don't know if that's something you can answer.
That's got a different energy quality to it, hasn't it? It hasn't got, in a way, it's sort of, it's a bit of a lighter energy quality to what I'm talking about now.
Well, I mean, I kind of associated with it because then the story comes in. Oh God, now I'm falling asleep, and it was going really well. So the story that comes in has that sort of like not good enough quality to it.
Excellent. Excellent. So what you've noticed is, you've noticed there's the sort of second arrow effect there, isn't there? So you've got the sort of excuse me, the stuff of the mind, you know, that in a way hasn't got that strong a sort of weight, and maybe is sort of is fluffing around because you know, there isn't the ballast or something, there isn't the sort of the power, you know, maybe you are a bit tired actually, and there isn't the sort of the power in the mind at that point. But then what comes in is this sort of, how did you put it? Oh my God.
Oh my God, now I'm falling asleep and it was all going so well, or something like that.
Yes. So that's the point where that sort of, that kick comes in. So it's that, in a way, it's not the sort of what triggered that, but it's that, oh my God, it's all falling apart, you know, which has the sort of emotional kick to it. So it's that you sort of, okay, well, what's, you know, there's a real sort of well, a wanting for freedom or stillness or whatever it is you're wanting for, but, you know, feeling that it's sort of, it's not, you know, it's not in your grasp. So if we take that, you know, it's like, just feeling the wanting of that actually can be sort of quite powerful, you know, the longing involved in that. I mean, it's a small example, but it can, these small examples can open us up into, you know, quite strong emotional charges under there. And just sort of feeling, we'll do this in meditation after the break, just sort of feeling into the energy as energy of that. And sometimes even if you just, at times, especially like that, because it's not a sort of hugely sort of strongly charged thing, but it, you know, our lives are made up of these sort of ways that we talk to ourselves, and these comments and these things that actually, you know, do carry quite a bit of a charge. So if we can catch that and just, yes, you know, I just, you know, I want to be more free and open. Okay. And actually, you don't have to say this to yourself, but actually that's what you're doing here. So that's fine. You know, that's, and it's, you know, it's like the mind is fluid and changing and will change all the time. So that means that, you know, 1 minute you'll be asleep and the next minute you won't. And it's not like you've lost your chance to wake up. It's if you can. So what do you need now in this moment now? How can you be with that in the most sensitive and open way? So, but it's, for what we're doing here, it's like, yes, recognizing that charge and just, okay, yeah, you really want to be free. Okay, you really want to be awake. Yeah, I want to be awake. I don't want to fall asleep. Okay, well, awareness can be very subtle, and there can be awareness present even when we're falling asleep. And sometimes, you know, you can even be curious about what that's like.
Thank you.
So after the break, we'll have a break now. After the break, we'll try this out. We'll try you know, I'll ask you, in fact, to sort of think of, to bring to the meditation something which is a bit emotionally charged. Don't think of something which is extreme, you know, the most emotionally charged you ever had, because that might be a bit overwhelming. We might not quite have the resources at the moment to deal with that, but just something that has, you know, you can see, yes, that has a bit of a charge, so that we can work with this in meditation. Okay. So we'll come back at 10 to.
Hello, Mudita Leela. I've sent you a message.
So hello again, everyone. I just wanted to take this opportunity before we do the meditation, really to give you all a very big thank you. We've raised a good amount of money for this retreat, and that's really is really essential at the moment, because we are, as I said before, we are the flow of generosity of Taraloka at the moment. They have no other. They're in Wales. I never realised this. I always thought they were in Shropshire, but actually they're in Wales. So they're completely locked down at the moment. And even if they wanted to, actually they had planned quite a few retreats over this next period, with people actually coming to the retreat centre, which of course they can't do now. So it really is down to us to keep that flow of generosity going. And, it's been amazing. So thank you ever so much. And I'm sure Taraloka would like to join me in thanking you for that. And if you haven't and still want to make a donation, you can do so. And the link is on Padlet. And if you're not, the Taraloka will put up the Dana link in the chat as well if you need it. So many, many thanks, and let's keep the flow going. It's wonderful. It'd be such a shame, wouldn't it, if we all got out of lockdown and we could go on retreat, but we had nowhere to go on left to go on retreat because all the retreat centres are closed down. So yeah, thank you all very much. Okay, so I don't know if you've all come equipped with a hindrance or some sort of something that feels like it's got slightly more charge, for you, that we'll explore. But we'll set up as always, we'll connect with our resources. That's the way to do it, isn't it? To establish the state of being, the state of mind, of heart that has the depth and perspective to really listen. Do this heart. It's this heart listening, isn't it? This sort of real. It's not a head listening. It's just opening the heart in that sort of soft, curious way. What have you got to say? What when we're not defending ourselves, we can, the play of, even the most energy-filled experiences. Wow, well, what's going on there? What has this got to tell us? What happiness am I seeking out of this? Wow. What view am I holding on to that sort of keeping this mechanism in play here? Okay, so engaging more and more deeply with those eyes of love until there's no need to be separate at all. So we'll take up our meditation posture. Our essential support, that feeling of relative release and comfort in the body. even if it's just in the sensations, the simple sensations of contact with the earth. The pressure, the weight flowing down through our bodies. Which we experience in the sensations in our buttocks, our legs, our feet, wherever there's contact, support from the earth. Learning from the earth its stability, ballast, depth of perspective. Breathing in all that support. Energy free to rise up our spine, open in our chest and heart. Giving ourselves the gift of spaciousness, ease, all the time in the world. No idea what's going to happen. No need to know. enjoying that loving quality of attention. If you like, you can let that love suffuse the body, suffuse the heart, spread everywhere. That well-wishing sensitivity, gentle curiosity. How is the heart now? Resting deeper into the flow of experience, the felt sensations of the body, the sounds, the movements of the mind, the words, the pictures. The perfume of the heart, the mood. an expression of the creative unfolding of experience, of life flowing through us, flowing in us. No need to preference what we like or want. Hold off what we don't want. Life will flow on anyway. This moment of our lives is a perfect expression of millions of years of evolution, just as it is. Nothing to get wrong, nothing to get right. It's only when we hold on or our confusion that creates the suffering. Resting deeper in the flow of experience, just as it is. Rest with love. Gentle curiosity. Let yourself be part of the play of experience right now. Falling open. Without any need to hold on, reject or accept. And if we want, we can ask ourselves, is there anything in this flowing, breathing field of experience, this cloud of sense impressions, of memories, of emotions? Is there anything that we want to slide off, not acknowledge, avoid? It's taking energy, restricting, limiting who we could be. Something that maybe has a charge, an emotional tugging, a fear, wanting, longing. And in this heart space, this open place of love, of welcoming, of time and spaciousness, of ease, what would it be like to invite that to take its place? If we can't get it wrong, we don't need to defend. What's it like to be in its presence, to listen, to share this moment, to become more whole, more free, more fluid, together? How does the charge feel in our body? Not just an idea of it or a label. Can we sense right into the experience, the vibration, the sensation? listening with our hearts to its heart language. What does it want? What sort of happiness is it trying to get? What's its heart wish? What's the actual sensation of fear, of longing, the vibration in the body? And remembering to take moments to expand, to open, to ease, to include all the other sensations of this moment, the sounds, the strength of the sitting posture, the muscles in the body, the flow of the air. Maybe a bit of playfulness or excitedness or interest or love. All that happening in this moment. Equally part of who we are now. The creative play of experience. This unique expression of life. Feeling again into the energy that's charged. the sensations in the body. How does it feel in our body right now, this charge? Maybe it feels very stuck and inert. Despairing, overwhelmed. What's that like? That sensation in the body, that vibration. What's it trying to tell us? What's its heart language? And opening again to all the sensations, all the flow of experience, flowing in this moment right now. The tingling in the cells of the body. The light patterns against the eyes. Play the dance of experience. Maybe tenderness, having received a message. And if we want to, we can commit to returning, to learning more, to learning how to listen, how to be in this heart space, this quality of attention, which is timeless, ungraspable, loving. And releasing, letting everything fall open, nothing to do.